Another way is to not put any timeline on it. And I know Penn and Teller's bullshit goes into Nostradamus pretty well. So it's just watching that.
Jimmy, did you have something on that?
Well, I think that we're going to talk about prophecies. There are ways to explain prophecy without a Godhead. I guess the expert, but one of the best known people to go to for this is Colin Wilson, and in his book The Occult, he explains how that almost all miracles can be determined by the human subconscious, and how his theory is that if you transcend your subconscious, then you can kind of get in tune with all the other subconsciouses, and that's how you make predictions. And also, prophecy is shown outside of Christianity to an extreme extent. Almost all societies have, created prophecies that were accurate, and so I don't think that it's a fair argument to say that Isaiah made some prophecies and they came true about Jesus. Therefore, Jesus is the God. Like other people have made prophecies with various religions or no religion. So and I think that we're kind of veering towards the kooky end of religion and spirituality. I don't know if that's exactly what everybody thinks.
Okay.
Kind of a personal question to you. Were any of you raised a different religion? Were any of you raised Christian, or were any of you raised as a Jewish? And if you were, how does your family feel about you now not believing in?
Yeah, I think all of us almost were raised Christian.
I actually have an interesting concept on this. A lot of us were raised Christian. I particularly was not raised in a faith-filled family. I didn't go to church very often. But I would have to assume that we are all kind of Christian in one way or another because we grew up in a Christian society. And therefore our morals and stuff like that kind of extend from Christianity. And the way my mother kind of has this feeling about it is she feels guilty about not taking us to church and all that other stuff because she thinks that might condemn us or whatever. And really when it comes down to it, she tells me that she couldn't have raised a better son because she doesn't know how to give me any more moral standards. And I just kind of look at it like that. I go, well, what is a good human being? Is it defined by a religion, or is it defined by your actions and how you act upon the things that happen to you? So I guess I had to question whether or not religion can define how good of a person you are. What kind of a person can be created?
I never said, it wasn't a person, but I wanted to know if your families were anything
my dad was pretty heavily religious. My mom not so much. And it's taken him a while, and he's really not happy with it. But it's okay. It doesn't really wreck the relationship that I have with my parents and my grandparents. It's something they like to talk about, but it doesn't really
Our
affect it.
relationships are still kind of secular, past childhood experiences or future goals are still the same, and I still see them every now and again and talk on the phone, and if we're not talking about religion, we're doing things about it, and just talking about school and what you want to do for it, things like that.
I was raised Christian as well, and when I came out to my family, if you want to say, they were upset, but it wasn't sort of a screaming match by any means. My parents have really come to terms with it in a good way. They're supportive of me now. I told them about this event, and they're like, "Oh, good luck, have fun and everything." So they've really learned a lot. They're still Christian, which is fine. But they have learned a lot about my viewpoint, and as well as my grandma has, and everything like that. So even some of the older generations who were raised with only this Christian thought, are now getting a little bit exposed to the atheist point of view, which is cool. Tim said that our relationships are pretty much the same. It hasn't been a destroyer by any means. So.
You can put your hand down too, eventually. Like, I do see you there. Well?
Okay, she was going home.
Well, you've had your hand up for a while.
Okay. I'm going off what Billy said earlier about, I mean, you guys are atheists and you gotta have a reason for being an atheist, but I don't see like you guys have a good reason based on logic, based on science. The brother Billy gave you some science and the fellow didn't really answer. There are only 4 alternatives. If we just break it down, there are only 4 alternatives to the origin of life. There is no alternative. Number 1 is it happened by accident, by chance, Big Bang Theory. Number 2, it's always been here. Number 1 goes against the first law of thermodynamics. It can't happen by accident. You can't produce matter or energy. It goes against the law of biogenesis. Non-life cannot produce life. The second one has always been here. That goes against the law of entropy, like Billy already said. The third alternative is, well, maybe this world is an illusion. Maybe this thing is not real. If that's the case, I mean, go blow your head off because you don't have a brain. You're not here. The fourth alternative is Genesis 1:1. In the beginning, God created the heaven and earth. That cannot be disproved. You can't really prove it either, but it can't be disproved. The other 3 alternatives are not scientific, they're not logical, and I don't know why you guys will continue to believe that there's no God when there's no logic for it, there's no science for your position. Can you explain that, please?
That's very good. Well, like I said, I get really frustrated when I think of the origin.
Oh, that's it?
If you guys would like to answer it,
I disagree. Where's the 5th alternative that Allah created the universe? Whereas, you know,
well, actually,
that Vishnu.
That's in the beginning. Allah created the heavens and the earth. You switch the name, it's the same thing.
Sort of.
We're fighting for the cause of a God, not being a God.
Yeah, brother. I guess, but just because Genesis said that, the only problem that I have with what you said is that you completely disregard anybody else's religion in the room.
Okay, we're taking
not
stepping stones.
no,
I'm not talking to a Muslim. I'm talking to an atheist. We need to
I would
step
say
up
that
for
there are
the
a lot
well, I
more
know, but you're
theories.
talking to everybody.
He
in the
mentioned
room,
one,
so.
that brain theory. There's numerous others if you look at, if you do some research online.
But that's either a combination of the 4 here. That's it happened by accident. But see, that's no evidence at all.
Well,
the
we
three
have
alternatives that you
physics,
guys have.
but it would be scientific if we were able to accumulate
If they
evidence
can
and
prove it.
all of that.
But science throws it out. Big Bang Theory, evolution, all that stuff, it goes against science. It goes against science. You have to go against science to believe those things.
How does evolution go against science? I'm just curious what your...
Well,
Evolution is a scientific theory. It's a theory just like...
Do you mean biological evolution goes against science, or...?
I mean, it goes against, there's limits to the genetics. Oh, yes, sir. I have 46 chromosomes. Monkeys, I believe, have 48.
Our second one.
If I get 48 chromosomes, I have Down syndrome.
Okay.
A scientist, there's not a scientist in this campus that ever seen evolution in their life. They never seen it in their life. And if you ask them, they'll tell you what it takes millions of years. When you do that, when you say it takes millions of years, that is when you get into faith.
Oh,
That's when you say once upon a time.
I understand what you're asking, but that's it's not quite what my question was meant. What I'm asking is because you mentioned that if you believe in evolution, you believe everything is just chance. And so when I ask, you mean biological evolution or like cosmic evolution? There you might be able to make an argument that for cosmic evolution, but biological evolution is not chance. It's descent, it's change.
I don't know.
When it finds something, when evolution finds something that works, it continues to work and it saves that. And it works off that from now on. So it's not pure chance. At least biological evolution is not pure chance. I can see you arguing maybe the pure chance thing as to how life just got started in the first place. But once it started, evolution works, seems to work.
Well, let me